Today, drama means hidden identity, drama means heroine to the rescue, and drama means killing pigs to support you. Hi, welcome back to Drama Means. Today we're talking about the 2026 Chinese drama Pursuit of Jade.
And first, a summary. A young woman finds a man clinging to life and decides to save him and nurse him back to health, knowing nothing of his identity or his connection to a war that will turn her life upside down.
We are back from spring break.
Party!
We did no partying.
So much partying! No time for podcasting because we're partying all the time.
We had no time for partying either.
We did have time to watch some dramas and catch up and watch some things so that we actually have things to talk about.
Yes.
That was our spring quote-unquote break.
Yeah. I did get a lot of reading done.
This isn't a book podcast. This is a drama podcast. We don't want to hear about your books. Unless they come in drama form, then we can talk about them.
Books have drama.
Oh boy.
Anyway.
Back to Pursuit of Jade.
Yes. So we all know this drama has taken, I don't know, should I say the world by storm?
At least the drama internet.
Dramaland.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this drama has really, I don't know. I saw so many reels about this drama. Everyone is obsessed with Zhang Ling. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty.
He's very, very good looking, and I don't deny that he's good looking.
I actually liked him in, what was the one we watched?
Princess Royal.
Princess Royal. I thought he was really good in that, and we enjoyed that drama. And in this one, I like him in it, but...
So here's the thing, and this is what I have an issue with. So I really liked him in Princess Royal. I thought he was being a good actor in it, right? In this drama, I heard, and, this is all from, internet land, so I don't know how accurate it is, but I heard that the director had him emote less so that he could be prettier. Better looking, because if you've seen Zhang Ling in real life and on variety shows and stuff, he has a lot of wrinkles, smile lines, he is able to emote. All these emotions are on his face, right? And in this drama, all the angles, all the scenes, it just has him do this very stoic, stone-faced look so that he doesn't really show the wrinkles and and he's just completely beautiful, right? But
yeah, I mean, then where's the acting though?
Yeah, where's the acting is what I'm asking. And honestly, I think because they make him so good looking, everyone out in internet land only is focused on his looks. No one has talked about the acting, the story, it's just all, oh, Zhang Ling is so good looking. Look at him. The only thing worth watching is Zhang Ling. No, man, no.
Well, I do think early in the story, it wasn't distracting to me, his kind of stoic character, also because everything he was doing, whether he was smiling or he was angry, was very understated. And he's also, weak because he's injured and all that sort of stuff. So in the beginning of the story, none of that bothered me. But it did feel like there wasn't much of an evolution to his emoting, his on-camera emotions. They kind of stayed overly subtle and overly stoic.
Yeah, when he was mad, he was just kind of mad. When he was going through at the end, he was getting lashed by his uncle to basically repay his uncle's his uncle brought him up,
Mm-hmm.
but he's leaving his uncle and he's allowing his wife to be in in the presence of his dead parents and all this stuff, right? And he gets I think it was 50 lashes or something like that. And he's supposed to be in pain and he's supposed to be sad and there should be a lot of different emotions in him, and he looks exactly the same. He's just as beautiful, just a little bloodier, which actually from the whole show, he's just always bloody. But like, but the thing is, like, I feel like I'm so done seeing the million time of like his, like his face in some kind of like, glow, that like lens flare, backlit beauty, with like with his like stray hairs / bangs just like flowing in the breeze. Like, I get it. He's good looking. We saw that like a million times. Like, can we like speed things up? Can we like have other shots? Can we like see him a little gritty? I don't know.
Well, this is the opposite of what I usually have a problem with, is the actors that pull their faces way too much and are acting way too big. And you're just like, everything is so dramatic. Like, it's like, I'm just screwing up my face at every opportunity, which I think the other thing that people think is good acting. And so here we have the exact opposite, which is just look like a porcelain portrait. Don't move. Don't put a hair out of place. And just be the most, beautiful thing. And I guess, to the director's credit, it works. Like, people are going gaga over this, but maybe they're going gaga over the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and I think because everyone, the audience, is so blinded by his looks that we're overlooking a lot of, like, first of all, how amazing her character is.
You're talking about Chang Yu.
Yeah. She is a woman. She's honestly a girl. He's like, I think they say they meet at 18.
Yeah, she's a very young woman.
Yes. And she's like, has the burden of raising her sister, and like, having a family, and like still trying, like, how, like, she should still be mourning for her parents, but she doesn't have time for that.
Right.
She's got business to do. She's got to start, the pig business again, like the butchering and all that stuff. She needs to raise money so she could feed her sister, like all these things. And then she's just a tough, strong woman that doesn't need a man to come and save her.
Well, and that was the thing I think they did really well, is like show her strength up front, but show it as a weakness as it pertains to the villagers. Like, the villagers all think she's like rough and tumble and crude. And it's like, ugh, what kind of girl like knocks pigs out? And what kind of girl is a butcher? Like, how unladylike. And that's kind of served to us as a negative, but obviously is her character literal strength and the way that she goes about her business and always solves her own problems. Like, goes out there and just faces things head on, which I really like. It's not trying to, like, she's not necessarily a conniving, not conniving is the wrong word, but like planning type of hero. She's like, no, I'm going to meet this challenge head on. I'm going to beat the tar out of it, and you're not going to come back.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like it's her story. Like, she's the actual main lead, right? At least in this drama, it's all about her. But as the audience goes and the internet, everything is on Zhang Ling.
Well, yeah, because he's the beautiful hero. Like, he's the person who's come into her life to,
sweep her off her feet,
even though he has to marry into her family. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. A lot of times they say, oh, she's dumb. And, like, they try to show it because she, like, she doesn't know how to read. That really messes things up.
Right.
And, but it's not that she's dumb, because she's perfectly smart. It's just that she's uneducated.
Well, I think I'm actually glad they did that. And they kind of hit the she couldn't read thing, quite a few times with the, she would just put circles around the words she didn't know.
Yeah.
And I think these days there's so much pressure if you're trying to show like a young woman, strong woman character that like she's infallible and she has no flaws and she's just perfect. And then, I think what they called Mary Sue's, like the people who are just good at everything and are so perfect. But here, like, she has the flaws of someone who is super young, raising her sister, working with her hands, working as a butcher, kind of a country bumpkin. She shouldn't be educated. She shouldn't have like book learning. Like she's like, cliche. She's learned it from the streets, but she has like real world intelligence, but not education. And I'm glad they did that because it keeps her out of this. Oh my gosh, look at how amazing she is at everything.
Yeah. So I enjoyed this kind of at the beginning. And, there's been some people online that like complain about how like, it was boring and the only thing worth watching is Zhang Ling because he's so good looking. And I find that a little disrespectful towards the project. And honestly, I liked it up until like I want to say episode 20-ish.
Right.
And they did spend a lot of time in the village. And I do think that I did get to a point where I'm like, oh, they're always talking about New Year. When is it going to come? It feels like it's been years, And another thing that someone had pointed out is like he just kept getting hurt over and over again, and he still hasn't died. Like, I get
true.
it, but that's like every single drama, right? Every single hero gets injured over and how many times does someone like spit up blood and they don't die? Like, if you're spitting up blood, that's like really serious.
Yeah. I mean, if you're knocked unconscious, like you have brain trauma.
Yeah.
And like how many times people get thopped over the head and they're fine like the next day? Like they wake up. What happened? Oh, I don't know. Just get up out of bed and go do your thing now.
Yeah. So like that, we're going to give that a little bit of a leeway in terms of that's just how drama land works.
Well, I will say back to your point of like people thought that maybe it was too long and drawn out at the beginning. I will say this is a rare drama where I enjoyed that part of the drama, the kind of nurturing of their relationship and the introductions and all of the stuff in the village and the domestic stuff. I actually enjoyed that way more than the big action and the intrigue and the court and all the war and all that stuff that was like supposedly driving the story.
Yeah. This is the thing though, because they spend so much time there. It really allowed the couple to build a relationship and a rapport and trust towards each other. But not only that, it just shows you how happy they were so that when it does get crazy, like, chaotic and like war times, there's a place that they want to return to, and we know exactly how that looks and feels.
Well, how many dramas have you watched where like the warlord or the general's like, I just want to go home and be a farmer, like Gladiator, it's like I just want to go home and be a farmer, but we've never seen that life for this person, so it's just words. It doesn't really mean anything to us of, wait, what is it when general goes home just to be a farmer and live the simple life? In this one, we get to see what that life would look like. Like, let's leave the capital and go out and live the simple life. Well, we got to see that. And we got to see actually how much he did enjoy it, how much he did enjoy the change from having to deal with backstabbers and all this kind of family intrigue. And just go, oh man, I get to wake up every morning and we have breakfast and we like just exist.
Yeah. And also because we lived that life with them in the village, when it got torn up and everyone just got massacred.
Massacred? Is that like more or less expensive than a manicure?
I mean, massacred. So when the whole village got massacred, it was so devastating even for us as the audience because we lived with them and we spent so much time there that, we appreciated everybody. But then also like, the redeeming qualities of when the grandma like goes and saves the little sister and like risks her life to save her grandson and the Chang Yu's little sister. Like we hated her at the beginning. She was like day one villain. Right? And then she redeemed herself and it was just like, she may be a terrible gossiper but when it comes down to it, she makes the right choices and she has the right thing in her heart.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to go to something that really bothers me. I think Game of Thrones kind of did this, and it was like they were very famous for killing off characters. And then it becomes who's going to die this week? Oh my gosh, who's going to die at the end of this season? And that's the audience focus is all about what an unexpected death is going to come next. If you haven't built up a connection between the audience and the characters, the deaths don't mean anything. So just massacring side characters or killing the villagers doesn't mean anything if we haven't spent any time and developed a connection, positive or negative, with those characters. You're just killing extras. And this show did that better than most as far as not just killing extras. They let you spend time in that village, call it home, and then as you're seeing just what amount to just, the guy who owned the rival butcher shop and the guy who worked at the restaurant and these people who like inhabited this world, now that means something. And I'm not asking you as an audience to cry, but you do care, you do feel it. You're like, oh my gosh, that character was on screen quite a bit. Like we knew that character by name and now they're dead, rather than just, guy number 4 in the crowd who, yelled at in the one scene.
Yeah. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but like they spent a lot of time in the village because it's like, it felt like all set, really.
Well, for sure.
Right? And so I feel like they save a lot of money in terms of their budget from being in that location for so long, that when they do those big like battle scenes and like, the big epic scenes, that's where they're putting their money in too.
Well, that's what we call like bottle episodes for TV, or TV episodes that can live in kind of one space and they're kind of in a bottle. So, you have 2 people talking in a room for an hour. It's a very cheap episode. And then you have, massive battles, which are super expensive. And when you're talking about a 25, 30 episode show, over the course of the series, you get to spend your money as if it's one big pot of money. So if one episode costs almost nothing, well, then you can use all of that money on the next episode. So I think a lot of these costume dramas do it very economical, where you'll notice how they kind of go from one spot and that's where the show is based for a while. And then it's like, we're moving into the mansion. And then the next like 10 episodes all take place in the mansion as their home base, or the capital or whatever. I do think this one did it very well as far as they had some unique sets. Her house and the kind of that deck, that dock where she finds him the first time.
Yeah.
And they were able to kind of use and reuse those so many times, save the money, and then just blow the budget when it really, really counts. Not spend the money on the stupid things.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they really like put the money towards the battle scenes, which I do think that they did well with. There are some shows where I'm like, where did the money go? Because, like even other like wartime, like, court dramas. And I'm like, where they like really cheaped out on like the war, the battles and stuff.
Where the army of 10,000 is like 12 guys with like a sign. And you're like, wait, how come they only show these same 12 guys? I thought he had an army of 12,000. And you're like, nope, just us.
Yeah. So, what's that? I think it's called Long Ballad. Something Ballad. That one, like, they switched all their, like, battles to, like, animation.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tricks you do to try to save money.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start, like, after you've budgeted a few shows and you start looking at other shows going, oh, that's how they're saving money. It can be pretty obvious. I like it when I can't notice. When you've watched a few episodes, you go, oh, yeah, I actually don't know. Like, how were they able to pull all this off? Because it felt big. Yeah. Like, my biggest gripe for shows are shows that feel cheap. Because I do feel like there's a way to make the show you want within your budget. And put the money where you really need to, Instead of doing a lot of scenes where everyone has full costumes, like, you do the scenes in the war tent where everyone's wearing their casual wear, so they're not fully armored up. Every person wearing armor, that's a costume. Like, every person holding a weapon, that's a prop. And so if you're doing that scene after scene, day after day, your money you look up and it's gone.
Yeah. Well, as you were talking about the director before, I want to mention that this director is the same director as Blossom, which I don't think you watched Blossom.
Doesn't sound familiar.
It is a rebirth story. Also about, like, I think he was also a general, but it was like, because this director comes from like short dramas.
Okay.
Right? And so he's used to being like low budget, you get like, I think every episode's like 15 minutes. So it's like really like, you got to get to the point and move on. And so when he did Blossom, it was his like first full length drama, and like mainstream. And it was so good and so like tight story wise. And like from, scene to scene, transitions are good, story, like it was tight. It was a little bit shorter in episodes.
How many episodes was that? Do you remember?
I don't.
Closer to 20, I'm guessing?
It was, I want to say either 24 or 28 or something like that. But like he had plenty of time to do, a full complete story. And I thought that Blossom was like really good. This one, I feel like he had too many episodes to do.
Well, you know my feeling. If it's over 20, every episode of over 20 is diminishing returns. Like every single episode over 20 is like, well, the show just got 2% less good. The show just got 2% less good. You don't need this much time to tell a story if you're telling it efficiently. There's plenty of time in 20 to 25 episodes to tell a story. We don't need 35, 36, 40. We don't need them. Stop doing it.
So here's the thing, like, a lot of people, like readers of the book, so this is originally a book. I've talked to one of our listeners, and they've mentioned that they've changed some of the dynamic between, between Zheng and Chang Yu, right?
Right.
And so, there's some things that they didn't really think that was that good. I don't really remember if they said that they watched the drama or not, but I did say that we were up to episode 16 and we did enjoy it. But after I said that,
it kind of fell off a cliff.
The thing is, and I can't really say a whole lot about, I can't compare it to its source material. I did not read the book. I don't know if there's an English translated version out there, and my Chinese reading is limited.
Okay.
Like I only know some characters. I can't fully read a book. I have to rely on dramas or, audiobooks, which I do listen to, or like audio dramas and things like that. But and of course the English translated. But so I don't know how the book went. I did hear online that someone had said that his character was colder in the book.
Right.
Like he actually didn't like the younger sister and didn't really have like that much of a rapport with her as in the drama where he's very like, he takes care of her really well.
Right.
And they have such like a bond, which I like that. I always thought it was cute when it was like them as a family, and then they always like, anytime they do something bad, they have her turn around and count.
So that she can't witness them like beating someone up or whatever.
Yeah. So like, I like moments like that. I'm not sure if that was in the book or not, but, for the most part, some people probably wanted the drama to be even longer to include more stuff from the book. But I personally thought this drama itself was too long. I felt like there were times when they cut stuff out and then had to talk about it in like exposition. And then, but towards the end, I felt like they had too many scenes. They, I don't know. It was just, there are a lot of things that I'm like, oh, that could have been cut out, which I'll talk about later, where like they had 2 death scenes that I was like, that's unnecessary.
But the thing is my thing about the length is a book is a book, and a drama is a drama, and a comic book is a comic book, and they all serve different ways to tell stories. And what works in the book doesn't necessarily work in the drama, and vice versa. So there has to be adaptation. There has to be change. And sometimes it's for the better, and sometimes it's for the worse. And you're 100% within your right as someone who read the book to go, I didn't like the drama as much. Fully, you absolutely have that right. Because there's plenty of things where I've read the book and go, oh, yeah, the movie was terrible. But you also have to recognize it's a completely different form of storytelling. You're in the head of the characters differently, and you're going to tell different moments of the story. And as a director and a writer of the drama, you're going to take things that are different priority. You're going to look at the drama and go, or you look at the book and go, well, I didn't really care about that so much in the book. That wasn't my favorite part of the book. My favorite part of the book was this, and that's what we're going to dramatize. My thing with the length of episodes in dramas are when they go too long, and when the same group of people is writing something and you're getting into the episode 20s and 30s, we only have so many ideas and so many things in our head that are good. And when we're out of those, we reuse them. So watch anything that has a lot of episodes. You're going to see TV shows do it all the time. Movies do it all the time. You go back and you use the same tricks you were using before. And that's why it starts to feel tired. That's why it starts to feel repetitive. That's when people say, oh, it was kind of like, there was kind of a lull. It's like, yeah, because the story needed to slow down, because I was just going to use my trick that I used 16 episodes ago, and I was going to use that again. And I was hoping you wouldn't notice. But we're starting to be a little more savvy to that as an audience member. We're starting to see and feel when things are getting reused and when those same old tricks and tropes are kind of trot out for us. Mm-hmm. And so I get the challenge of the adaptation, but at the same time, just for, hey, you're making the drama, you focus on the drama. Now, how do you make the drama good? Screw the book. Like, just as the filmmaker itself, you kind of have to at some point.
Yeah. I think that especially if you cut out some of those long, wispy shots of Zhang Ling.
Maybe not early. Give us the good looking stuff at the beginning, make him nice and pretty, so we're like, ooh. But like after a while, dial it back a bit.
Oh my god. If you cut a bunch of those shots out, you're fine with, like, I'm not even going to say 20 episodes like Ryan. I'm going to say 30. If you can fully do a great drama in 30 episodes.
Of course. But
right?
You can also do it in 20.
This made me this didn't make me like him less. It made me like this director less.
No, I see that. I mean, I think, again, the priorities were just a little weird as far as, well, let's make him stoic so he's beautiful. And again, that's an online rumor. That's something that necessarily the filmmaker hasn't come out and said.
Yeah.
But is kind of obvious when you kind of 2 + 2 it.
Yeah.
My biggest issue with this drama is the story going into the back half of the drama. Of just, I have a hard time picking out what the heck happened, because it just feels like a ball of mush. Like, it just feels like retread things from other dramas we've seen.
Yes, and there are some similarities that we've seen, like, Zhang Ling Yan Zheng's dad, not getting the military reinforcements, which led to his, death, and, which we've seen done in, like, example, Prisoner of Beauty, right? And I think Prisoner of Beauty did it better because it was a main source of their conflict as a couple. So we see that there's, like, them wanting to blow up the dam and, defeating the military that they had a small amount of people in their army, but then the attacking side had way more men, right? And so they were gonna explode this dam so that they could kill the other side of the army. And it was fine, but it was just kind of like, oh, okay, we've seen this was done in something else. I can't even remember. It might have also been Prisoner of Beauty, but it was, like, we see these court dramas, these military dramas all the time, and they're starting to all blend in together because they're using the same storylines and same tactics and same, and you can argue, like, oh, well, of course, like, it's in I forgot if it was called, like, Xun Jibing Fa, which is, like, actually, like, ancient times, like, this famous general had, like, all these military tactics in a book, and then, so people, and it's a real thing, even though it's this manual has, like, showed up in a lot of, like, wuxia dramas and costume dramas and stuff like that. This is, like, a real manual, so you can argue, like, oh, well, they're actually using a military tactic. I'm like, I get it, but also we've seen it a million times, and I would like, we're in 2026, can you come up with like a newer military tactic that wasn't in this manual? I don't know, but like...
Well, the thing is that when you're treating it as if it's some kind of stroke of brilliance, like the way it's treated in this drama is, what are they doing here? Such a mystery. What could we possibly be doing in this like work camp? And then she like sneaks away and discovers the secret. And so you're treating it like it's this special secret that like no one would ever guess what we're doing here, except for the answer to that isn't all that interesting because A, we've seen it before, and B, we're kind of guessing it before she even went up there to figure it out. Like, well, what else would they be doing like militarily in this area? So I think that's the problem, is that these things that we've seen before aren't just kind of glancing blows. They're like plot points and like tent poles that are bearing the weight of the story. And we've already seen that. Like in Prisoner of Beauty, we've seen that kind of plot point. Oh, we didn't get the reinforcements, and now, one side blames the other side for not showing up, and so they hate each other, and that's why they're enemies. We've seen that. And in this one, it's sort of the backstory is all based around these reinforcements not showing up, and the disagreements, and the people who aren't on each other's side anymore. It's okay, but...
And it just so happens that her dad is involved, and like they, and like the dumb like, oh no, my dad like was the cause of his dad's death, so he's gonna hate me if he finds out, and then I'm gonna start ignoring him, and like, and it's just like, it's so coerced, and it just doesn't, it no longer feels natural, and it no longer is like, they had such a trust for each other. And now she like, I understand it's a big thing. Like, oh, your dad had a hand at like killing my dad or whatever, because your dad's like the most famous traitor of our country, right? But it's also like, you don't trust him to like love you more.
But also, like, she didn't even know who her parents were, so it's not like she was like a culprit in this. Like, she thought her parents were like couriers and butchers. Like, she thought her dad was a butcher who like also did some like, courier protection back in the day. Like, there's no connection between her and the parents in that world. And so it's so overly illogical and emotional for him to take that leap of, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And that's not who his character has been. Has been a over emotional person who like jumps to conclusions because of their like wrought emotions. If anything, he's been the opposite of that character. So I think again, like, some of these things having so much importance to the story, you're just like, well, yeah, why are you like making your whole story depend on things we've kind of, so what? Like, it's the so whats.
But here's the thing, so they had a random fight which led to him leaving, right?
Oh, yes, I remember this. Yeah.
This fight is like so... Okay, first of all, it's out of place because now their most severe fight is that, actually.
Yep.
Right? Which, like, it's his excuse so that he can leave and go be the general again, right? Or Marquis. But it's like so out of place. It didn't fit their characters. It didn't fit the moment. It didn't fit... It was so, like, coerced, but it was just like, it didn't even make sense. I'm like sitting there, I'm like, this fight does not make sense.
No, because that scene in particular was trying to do too much. And they weren't set up for the dynamic they needed to make that fight work, which is he has to leave and she can't go with him. They forgot the second part of that, because in the scene, she more or less says, I'll go with you. Oh, or like in the scene before. Yeah, like she literally talks about, I know you have to leave. Maybe I can go with you. And like, that's like floated earlier.
Earlier it was like, oh, well, there's people after me. I should sell the home and I could go on with you. And we were going to travel together. We were going to leave together. And then all of a sudden, now it's like, who do you think you are to like ask me to go with you?
Yeah, it was like, well, wait a minute. We already had this discussion. So like the can't go with you part of this is kind of irrelevant, other than he doesn't necessarily maybe want to take her to like the war zone.
But he literally asked her to go with him.
I know, that's why it doesn't make any sense. So they're fighting all of these different things they've already set up, but the result of that scene has to be he goes by himself, because otherwise the rest of the drama doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you have an illogical argument because you have an illogical want for the scene. And that's a problem with, you have competing values of the scene. You have, well, do you want them to argue, or do you want him to and it have no drama? Like, how do you want him to leave? Well, there's no reason they just can't have everything they want.
Yeah.
And so now you have to make them have not everything they want without really explaining it, and it just turns into like a, okay.
Yeah, I agree. And then after he leaves, and then she goes off, to basically to find her sister, but also him, right? That, like, her journey became so coincidental after that. Like, she just so happens to get captured and ends up in the camp where her buddies are, and then she forms the butchering bandits or butchering team or whatever they call it, and then so happens to run into his master, like master strategist or something.
Yeah.
Right, and then she becomes his disciple. Everything is so coincidental.
Well, I think in that the word that you said there that's key is everything.
Everything.
It doesn't happen once, which you can buy is like, okay, the coincidence. I think that's the problem I have, at least, when we have too many things sort of line up to like work out perfectly. Don't get greedy. Give us the one coincidence we can buy that then sets our characters back on a collision course, rather than coincidence on top of happenstance on top of, oh my gosh, isn't that crazy? And now you're like, okay, guys, like this is silly now.
So I had a whole issue with her hair tie blowing into the medic tent, and so happened to land exactly right next to his bed. Which, I know they're playing it for cute fate / comedy, but it's so cheesy, and I'm like, okay, I'll buy it if everything else wasn't so coincidental already, and the fact that they were at the same camp, and she was searching for him for so long, and the only way that she would have been able to run into him is this God's will, basically.
Yeah. And I think that's my issue with these coincidences, is that I want to see the character get 95% there on their own. I want to see characters work for it. And then if we want to give them the 5% as a cute thing, a corny thing, a cheesy thing, a romantic thing, a character thing, then I'm with you. But make them work for the 95% to get there, so that I can feel like they earned their journey, and that the gods were sort of like, hey, you worked really hard to get to this point. It would be cruel if I didn't kind of nudge you in the right direction.
Yeah. Which I guess they kind of did, but it was just very It
was kind of one too many, or two too many, maybe three too many.
So that was a thing. And then I don't know, I want someone to go watch this drama again, because I'm not going to do it. But if someone out there can go and watch and count how many times they have them sitting in a different room, and then they're seeing the shadow of the other, and then going to kind of touch the shadow, and then all of a sudden, and then when they go check the shadow, the other person's gone or whatever, count how many times they do this. It's just something with their silhouette. Oh, I see their silhouette in the window, and then, but they're sitting so close, and it just shows it seems like they're sitting together, but then they're on the other side of the window or whatever, cloth. Please go and count how many times they have that same shot. It's not the same exact shot because they're in different locations and stuff, but it's the same thing, rinse and repeat.
Right.
So I'm going to talk about one more thing that really irritated me was Qiming's death.
Okay.
And I know people somehow really like him and think he's like super good looking and all that stuff. And I do think he's better looking in this than anything else we've seen him in.
I think he's more unique in this than anything we've seen him in. I think he's played very stock, snivelly, stock bad guy, stock annoying. And this at least had some layers, had some things for him to play. This is the kind of role you get like before you're about to blow up because you're like, oh, look at all these different facets I got to play in this character.
Yeah.
I don't think this character's likable. And I don't think this character's anyone we should be pining after. Just to be clear.
His character is so creepy. He's like, people think it's okay just to be like, just because he really is in love with her and is obsessed with her, like for like years, you know? And so then they're like, oh, you know, because he loves her so much, it's okay to do all the bad shit that he does. I don't.
Nope. Wrong.
We've said this countless times in different episodes. It is creepy as hell. It is gross, man. Like, he is a stalker, he's abusive, he is emotionally abusive, physically abusive. He is not a good guy. Like, he is not someone that you should want to meet in your real life.
And I will admit, like, there are many times where villains that you shouldn't like, you end up liking them because they're such a good villain.
Yeah.
So, like, you can like them and go, oh man, I know I'm not supposed to think the villain's hot, but I do. But you do have to acknowledge he's a shitbag.
Yeah, he is not a good person. But whatever your feelings are about him, I personally think that this drama does not need 2 scenes of his death 1 and death 2. Death 1, where like both him and Qian are like hanging off of a palace wall, and you know they could fall to their deaths, and he literally chooses her over himself and his whole dream of being or taking like his rightful place on the throne, right? Like, the fact that he dislocated his thumb so he's no longer chained to her, so he can fall to his death. The meaning is he fell to his death. That is your first death. You don't get another death. That is it. That's plenty fine, right? And like, that declaration of his love, I think, is stronger, is that he is willing to die for her, and he is putting her before his wants and his needs, right? It's honestly the first time you really see it because, yeah, he doesn't hurt her when he could hurt her, you know, or like kill her like she keeps asking for. He doesn't do it, but it's all for his own selfish, like, obsession of, like, he needs to have her with him, right? But this is the first time he's not being selfish. He's like, she needs to live and I'm gonna die. That's all you need. That is such a strong statement that you don't need another scene of him like laying on her lap and then like she has to bring him the poison and then he gets poisoned to death and I'm like, no, he died on that freaking wall, like down, splat, dead.
But if they don't have the second death scene, how do the dum-dums know why he willingly fell to his death and that he really like loves her more than having to ascend to the throne? Like, how do the dummies know that are watching? Because, you know, I'm a network executive who needs it spelled out to me. So please, after he makes that decision, can we sit around and talk about and explain that decision so that no one could possibly miss what happened there? That's what that is.
Yeah.
That's someone going, well, is everyone going to understand exactly like why he did what he did in that moment? Because it's a really fast moment. Well, then people should be watching. People should be paying attention and get your heads out of your phones and watch the show.
Yeah.
Because that's so insulting to intelligent audience. It's insulting to the actors. It's a scene I guarantee you no one wanted to film.
I don't know. It's such a, well, the thing is, you can argue that it was like a nod and like they're bringing to attention that Qian is a transmigrator.
Well, I have my own set of problems with that.
First of all, because I didn't read the book, I can't say anything, but I don't know why a side character or like, the second female lead is a transmigrator. If it's a transmigration story, like why isn't your lead the transmigrator? But whatever, that to me doesn't even matter. Throughout the whole drama, she's dropped hints like, oh, I've come from a very, very far place. I know how to do CPR, and that's how I saved Qiming. And, and then she teaches the headmaster guy how to do CPR so he could save the oldest princess. And so then, like, there were so many things that she, like, kind of dropped hints of her being a transmigrator. And then they had this scene where he's like, where are you really from? And she's like, I forgot what she said, like my hometown or somewhere, or no, he goes, who are you really? And she goes, I'm just Tian, right? And then like, he's like, oh, you liar. And I'm like, I get it. He always calls her a liar because she's always lying to him. Whatever, like fans will be like, oh, that's so cute. But it's not cute. Okay, because he already died on that palace wall. This scene does not need to exist. And we already know that she's a transmigrator. And if you really wanted even more of a hint, she could have been pulled up off of that wall by Chang Yu. And then she says that little line that she said in the prison after he dies, she could say, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to return home. On that wall, like up in the palace, that could have been right where it ended. That itself is him declaring that she's more important than himself. He dies. And she saying that, telling Chang Yu, hey, I actually love him too. That's it. On that wall, all of that drama right there. It's so emotional right there. And then you add this cheesy scene afterward. It's completely worthless.
But, I mean, okay, I get that. Perhaps this transmigration thing is part of the book. Fine, it's part of the source material. It's in there. I don't know in which way it interacts with our main story, but okay, let's just say it's there, for argument's sake. That reveal is more interesting in a world that doesn't have transmigrators than anything that has happened so far. Like, we've retread, like, plot points from other dramas. We have court battles, and someone's like, by the way, I'm from a different world. As a side note, that's just silly. Now that you've just made, by definition, you've made a side character the most interesting thing in this universe, because it is the weirdest thing in this universe. Like, everyone should go, huh? And stop, right? The whole story stops now. So if you want to nod to it for people who read the book, and you want to kind of wink at it, just wink. Just don't ever bring this idea to text. Oh, she knew CPR. That's a little weird. Where are you from? I'm from far away. Just wink and then move on, because you're not doing this story. This is not a story about transmigrators. And just an argument, not every show has to be about transmigrators.
I know. And that's the thing, like, it's not, because there's so many transmigration stories, I would have loved it for there not to be any transmigrators in the story. Yeah,
I think it was unnecessary, and I get it. Like, when it's part of the source material, you do feel a requirement, you do feel a responsibility to at least mention it. But just, it felt kind of like, who cares? And if you want us to care, you better make a bigger deal out of it. And now it's someone else's story, so why are we watching this one?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's something we didn't mention at all, which is something you kind of love, is like the gathering of her little team of like the hooligans that, kind of worked for her uncle and like trashed her place a couple times. And then she kind of like rehabs them and turns them into her crew.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like, her taming the bad guys kind of thing.
Giving them purpose and actually like reforming them a little bit.
Yeah, I do like that. But again, we've seen that a lot already. Like, her, like, the legendary female general has her own little team that she had. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other dramas that also have their little team. And so, even in, the double, You know, she had her own little crew.
Right.
And we're seeing it now, and I just can't really say that this was done that much better.
I agree.
And so I the only thing I wanted to say is because I'm a huge supporter, you know, and fan of Nine, and I'm glad he's in like a very popular drama, and I'm hoping like he's gonna, you know, get out there more and be in more things and then have bigger roles and just because I'm a big, you know, fan of Nine. And he was in that, but also he had this dumb, like, so they had to fake out that he died, then he didn't die, and then he died.
Yeah. Why?
Exactly. Why? Like, just do one.
Because you have 36 episodes. Or how many? Like
38, I think it was.
So that's why. You have to fill that time.
Yeah.
Well, now it's time for reviews. Or now it's time for ratings, I should say.
We already did the review.
The review's over. It's time for ratings.
Yeah. My rating is stepping out to get fresh air.
This came really close to land sickness for me at the end. But I will say the beginning, I really did think they're charming as a couple. And I thought she was super charming and I like her character. So, and I like seeing how she carried the show.
She carried the show.
So she bumps it up out of land sickness into stepping out to get fresh air.
I agree. And that is it for us. This was I didn't mean for it to turn into a rant episode, but it became a rant episode, I think.
You know, that happens.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for, you know, coming back to listen to us after spring break.
And then we'll be back next week again with more drama memes.